All right. We are with a new background for the Best Boy Center Ice podcast as we get just into the playoffs this weekend. Carson did the graphics here, which is really cool because if you've noticed, if you're a hockey fan, you'll see that a lot of the logos are retro logos.
Mm-hmm. Retro or alternates. The only ones on that aren't really is Vegas is their primary. Well, one of their primaries actually. It could be different now because they had the primary gold, and Montreal's is somewhat alternate, not really. But other than that, all these are retro or alternate logos. When I was making the graphic, I really wanted to be a bit creative with it and try to do what I could to make it unique. And a lot of these teams, well, all these teams have really cool logos that they've used over time. And so I had to go in there. I think my favorite, looking at these already, my favorite ones I listed as far as like the matchups head to head is definitely the LA Edmonton. Mm-hmm. I also like the old Winnipeg logo, and I like, I know Dallas's is an old logo, but I love that alternate logo. They have that on their ice at the arena. It's awesome. But yeah, we're going to, for the rest of and then we'll get to our intros and stuff. For the rest of the playoffs now, because they start officially on Saturday, we're going to have this bracket board up. Dad and I have already discussed we're going to do nightly recaps of the games just because there's going to be so much going on. I'll be updating the boards as we go along with the series totals, who's up this game to what. And then obviously the names, the winning team, their logo will shift over as it keeps going until we have the champion, whose big old logo will be right underneath the headline there, which that headline does read the 2025 Stanley Cup Playoff Bracket as of right now, because this we'll get into in about probably 10 minutes. There are going to be changes, or it could be changes for some of these teams. There could be a team or two in this list that is not going to make it. Or that the seeding could just change and the matchups are different, but this is just as of today. So we'll keep up with them. I'll make sure I'm updating these daily to make sure they line up correct. But as of right now, these are how the matchups stand at this point.
And so you'll notice that our screen is smaller. But that's fine because we're not about, being all on the camera. We want everybody to know exactly when they come on the podcast to see what it's for, who's where, and then you'll be able to still hear our commentary.
Yep, and it's important, I think, when we are discussing the playoffs, that you're able to see us. And wait, is it live? Mm-hmm. Can you see it?
Yep.
That's weird. Maybe I just need to refresh on mine. It's not letting me share it. All right. Anyways, sorry about that. It's on.
Yeah. Well, here, let me.
I think we're live. We should be.
Yeah, because it says live.
Okay. Well, hopefully we are.
So did you share it? Somebody shared it.
I didn't. Who did? Maybe Beth did. If they're there, anybody's there, just let us know if you can see us. Just not sure if it's live because I can't share it from Dad's page. Who did? Beth?
No, I can't tell. It says one share.
See, I can't even, that's weird. Okay, well, I'm just going to hope that this is live. If not, we'll upload it to Facebook later. Now, again, these matchups are subject to change. And hopefully, honestly, it'd be kind of chaotic if they did, but this is it as of right now. So when we get through our introductions, what's wrong? No,
I've got it live. It's just I don't know why you can't share it. Did you set
what?
Did you do that?
Yep.
Okay. And I wonder if we're just going to take one little second here to see something.
We got Mr. Tech Boy over here, the engineer.
Just got to make sure that.
That's so odd. Well.
Yeah, it's sharing to Facebook.
Yeah, it's live. So, okay. It's something with my phone. I have an Apple. I'm not as technologically advanced as Dad is. So we'll keep on a rolling here. But yeah, so we'll go over these matchups as they stand as of right now here in a few minutes. Before we get into that, I'll do the shout outs this time because I feel like I like doing them sometimes. We want to thank, first of all, Shemai Reed and the Refocus Radio Network for allowing us to be shown on their website and network. We get uploaded there every week after we record our shows, so it's an opportunity that we enjoy getting to be on the network with other amazing shows. One such as Rudy Campos' Sweep the League, who's covering all the other sports besides hockey, as well as other shows that they have, like Sweep Unplugged for Life Talk, as well as other shows that they're on the Refocus Radio Network that go from topic to topic. That what anything you can think of, it's probably on there. We also, again, upload every week, the day after, to Spreaker.com and re-upload to Facebook. We also do our TikToks on Dad's Barry Besse and mine, Carson Besse, recapping the Oiler and Penguin games. And then, again, as of now, we'll be uploading to YouTube as well. We're trying to get more following on there because we'd like to do streams there as well. But we upload there every day afterwards as well. And so, yeah, that's where you can find us. There's plenty of opportunities to search our last name. Most likely you'll find us somewhere. But, yeah, getting with the show. So we'll do a quick rundown of the week for our teams real quick, get that knocked out because the playoffs are much more important. This will be, unfortunately, I think my last time talking about the Penguins this season. But yeah, the Penguins season is done. They got one more game on Thursday against the Caps. They're going to finish below 500 for the first time, I believe, since before Sid got to Pittsburgh. So it's going to be interesting. But Penguins just didn't have it this season. Last week, they played a couple games. They played against New Jersey and actually beat them 4-2 and evened up the season series, which is cool. The Devils owned us last couple seasons, so it's nice the Penguins got a couple games against them. On the Sunday previous to our last show, the Penguins had officially been eliminated by the Blackhawks after they lost in Chicago. But yeah, the Penguins beat the Devils and then played at home against Boston on Saturday and lost that game. They're resting tons of guys now that are hurt. No point in injuring them further if they're not going to make the playoffs. So tons of young guys come up and gotten the opportunity. This is just learning season for the Penguins. Hopefully they'll be back next season in the playoffs. But, Sid got his point per game season, which was awesome. He will be hopefully at 90 points. He just needs one more. He'll hit 90. But goaltending woes were the problems for the Penguins this season. Defensive woes were the problems for the Penguins this season. Scoring was there. Power play got a lot better. Penalty kill was average, so it declined a bit from last year. But I'm looking for an improvement next season. But this is it for the Pens. They play on Thursday against the Caps, and that's going to be it for this year. Hopefully next year they'll be back. But it's a learning experience, and hopefully this team is just ready. They make the right moves this offseason. I think they can be back where they want to be, but it's just going to be up to time to tell on that.
Yeah. And I really think the Penguins still got a lot of gas left. They just have to get the right components around the big
because you see some of the teams they beat, and it's like they can hang there. It's just making sure the right dudes are there.
And this year, Sid proved that he still got a couple more years left in him. So I think the Penguins can get back into playoff contention, and I think they can make a solid move in the Metro if the goaltending, and
they keep on discussing about the possibility of Mitch Marner signing there this offseason. Which that would be insane, but I mean, I don't know if it'd be the right move, especially for him, because the Penguins just are going to lose.
He's got to get out of Toronto.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, we'll see what I mean. The future is bright for this team. They have a lot of draft picks. They have 11 this year, which is going to be great. They've made a lot of solid depth moves and gotten some younger guys ready to go. So this team, I think, next year truly will be a better team.
And as far as the Oilers are concerned, since we last did the broadcast on Wednesday, they went 3-1. Which with a depleted lineup against the teams that they play, they beat St. Louis 4-3. Then they went and beat San Jose 4-2. Now they went into Winnipeg on Sunday.
Yeah, that was a good game.
And they beat the Jets 4-1. Now, last night they were at home to the LA Kings, and it would have the Oilers still had a shot at home ice in the first round, but they sat everybody pretty much because McDavid had come back and he had scored like 9 points in like 3 games. Draisaitl, they're still holding him out. They have Hyman was still out. Stetcher was still out. Stu Skinner came back. Ekholm is going to be out. They say he's going to make the first round. So they had 10 guys
Not playing.
not playing last night against the Kings, so they lose 5-0, and the Kings get home ice in the first round. Now, does that matter? To the
No.
Kings, it does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
to
it
the
does.
Oilers, it doesn't, because the Oilers are one of the only teams in the NHL to have 20 wins in both home and away.
I will say that game seemed a bit spicy. Darnell Nurse got ejected from that game, and there were comments made after the game. Phil Deneau said that, the Oilers had played their B squadron, just trying to intentionally basically batter up and injure the Kings up for the playoffs.
Yeah, wow.
Which, I mean, isn't the case, but these guys still have to play hard. They're not going to just give you the game.
Darnell was having his meeting with the NHL
today.
safety committee, and I don't know what came of it. I'm sure he'll be suspended for tomorrow's last game, and I don't know if they're going to put him a suspension into the playoffs too. I haven't seen anything.
I would think not. I mean, I don't think that was that bad but at most I could see 2 games, maybe 1 and like some cash.
Yeah.
But I mean, not the smartest move, but
no,
I think that lights the fire a little bit for the series.
Yeah. I think, the referees. I watched the game. Well, I watched most of the game last night. There was a point where I couldn't watch it anymore because the referees were calling penalties left and right. And it was like on both teams, and there was no flow to the game. It was just a mess of penalties all over the place. And I think that, this series coming up in the playoffs between the Oilers and the Kings is going to be, and usually in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's usually the first round where you have the chippiness, and then everything kind of comes back to just playing hockey.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting series, and I think this is 4 years in a row that the Oilers and Kings will meet. I think this is the first year that the Kings have a home ice advantage. But again, you're looking at Edmonton. They're going to get their big guys back. They're going to be healthy.
I think just the one concern for them is like Bouchard, how he's going to play, and how Stu's going to be holding up if he's starting.
And excuse me, but I think, like the Oilers, when they're at full strength, and another guy who possibly could be back in the playoffs is Evander Kane, who hasn't played at all this year. I think having him in the lineup would bring that toughness, would definitely bring the toughness to the team. So it's going to be interesting. Like Carson said, goaltending and the defense will need to be tightened up if the Oilers want to go on a deep playoff run. And even though Cal Pickard was in net last night and gave up the 5 goals, it was just like, when you have a depleted defense and you've got
nothing you can do.
I'm thinking Cal may get the start in game 1, because the Oilers, according to Knobloch, the head coach, whoever got the hot hand at the time
was going to be in.
Is going to be in, and I think Pickard's had the hotter hand in the last. I know Stu's been hurt a little bit, but we'll see. And I'm not sure what day they'll start. It's going to be sometime this weekend. But the Oilers wind up with, they'll wind up if they get another win against San Jose on tomorrow night, they'll get to 100 points, I think, or over 100 points.
Yeah.
So it's been, like as a fan, you want to see the Oilers get the Pacific Division, because they haven't won the Pacific Division since 1987 or something like that. Or that division used to be called the Smythe Division. But for a team like the Oilers, it's just, you just got to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what seed.
It doesn't matter what seed, because you go into LA, you win one of the first 2, like any other road team starting the playoffs, you win one of the first 2 games and you got control. I just think it's going to be a tough series. It's going to go 6.
This is going to be LA's best chance, I think, to get by them. Truthfully, I think this is their best opportunity.
Yeah, I think so too, because they've got that chip on their shoulder of losing to the Oilers 3 years in a row. So, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's like last year, the Oilers totally dominated the Kings, especially with power play and penalty kill. And I think this year the Kings are more disciplined. They will have to, like last night, I think the Kings took 8 penalties, they're going to have to stay out of the penalty box when the real power play unit is out there, because that power play
It's gonna
unit
eat 'em
is
up.
it would eat them up big time. So I think as far as the season is concerned, the Oilers had, again, terrible start, picked it up, became the team.
I'd give them a B plus.
Yeah.
I think they did good, but they definitely could have done better. But I mean, they
Yeah.
made the playoffs, so that's all that matters at
Yeah.
the end of the day.
It looks like, Draisaitl will win the Morris Rocket Richard for most goals in the league. I doubt he's going to play against San Jose, but he's
No.
so far ahead of Nylander, I think, is in second place. But so he'll get that. Connor won't, if he doesn't play tomorrow against San Jose, he won't get to 100 points. He's at 99 right now. But again, this stuff like that doesn't mean anything to this team. The only thing that means anything to this team is winning that trophy. That's the only thing that matters. I think the Oilers are on paper probably Stanley Cup finalists, Stanley Cup champions again, but you got to play the games. And I'm hoping, of course, for another trip to the Stanley Cup playoffs, but it's going to be tough getting by LA.
Yeah.
You're right. This is LA's chance. And we'll just have to see how it plays out. But the playoffs are going to start on Saturday. I'm sure over the next couple of days, once the regular season is done, we'll know who's going to start and who's going to play where. Again, what Carson and I will do is every night we'll do a
nightly
wrap up
recaps
here on Facebook Live, a nightly recap of the day's games, because there's going to be, especially in the first round, there's going to be
tons of games
every day. So let's get into what we have right now. There's still a couple of spots that need to be filled.
Decided. Yes.
Like there's only the wild card spots that need to be figured out.
And there could be some seating changes possibly in the divisional, but this is how it stands as of right now, going upon our bracket that we have as of the 15th of April before tonight's games are played, which there's only one game that really can change. Well, unless Columbus is playing, I'm not sure if they are, but Calgary's playing today
against Vegas.
And should they lose, then that's it for them. As far as getting wild card 1, they could get in wild card 2. But we'll get into that later. So as of now, this is how your playoff matchups are going to be as of the 15th of April. Starting in the Eastern Conference, so left side of the bracket board, I have them labeled there, Eastern, Western underneath. We have the Washington Capitals as of right now being the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, playing the second wild card as of this point, which still hasn't been fully locked in yet. But as of right now, the Montreal Canadiens starting the east side off. I guess we'll just go about these matchups and kind of discuss maybe the interest we have in each of those, or maybe what ones add the most appeal to us. Next one down, so your third and fourth ones, we have the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New Jersey Devils. Carolina uses their alternate hurricane warning flag, which is the one with the black background underneath Montreal logo, and then New Jersey green background with the NJ Devil. That's also going to be a series that's the first series I've mentioned at this point that has been locked in. That matchup is set. There's not going to be any change to it. Those two teams will play each other in the first round. This next one has not been fully decided, but it is listed like this right now as of the seeding. The Battle of Ontario, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Ottawa Senators as of this point. Toronto leading the Atlantic Division, and Ottawa is the number 1 wild card, but Washington will have the number 1 record in the East, so they play the second wild card at this point. This next matchup also hasn't been fully locked in yet, but it is pretty certain to happen. The Battle of Florida, the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Florida Panthers. Again, this could change, but as of right now, the East, this is how it's looking at this point. We'll have a full answer on this probably as of Thursday. I think that's when the last 90 games is, to see when what it's going to look like. Now in the West, starting at the top here on the right side, Western Conference. So far we have the President's Trophy winners, number 1 seed in the West, the Winnipeg Jets against the second wild card as of this point, the St. Louis Blues. Underneath that, we go to our next matchup, which this is the second one that has been fully confirmed to happen, the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. with Dallas having home ice in this series as of right now. Our third matchup in the West, not to be confirmed fully yet because Minnesota hasn't locked up their playoff spot, but it is pretty certain they will, but they haven't yet. The Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild is the third matchup in the West. And then this next one we've already discussed has been locked in to happen already. LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers, with LA gaining home ice in this series. Now, these are subject to change in the next 72 hours, 48 hours, give or take, whatever it is. Montreal has not clinched their playoff spot for the Eastern Conference. They basically, all they need is they have one more game. They get 1 point and they're in. Now, if they are to lose their next game, which is against Carolina tomorrow, Columbus can win their last two games in regulation and jump Montreal to the tiebreaker, and they would take Montreal's spot against Washington. If Columbus goes to past regulation at any point in these games, it's done. They're done. Even if they win both of them in overtime, doesn't matter. Regulation wins are the tiebreaker. But that's the clinching scenarios for the East. It's not that complicated. Montreal 1 point in their next game over, or if Columbus just goes past regulation or loses, either or, done. It's over. We go to the West because the rest of these teams in there, they're in the playoffs. Matchups just aren't set as far as seeding, but the rest of those teams from Montreal are in the playoffs. The West, St. Louis and Minnesota have not clinched as of this point. Both of them are very likely to do so, but there is still an opportunity for Calgary to sneak in and bump one of them out. Should Minnesota lose their next game in regulation, Calgary can win their last two and bump them because they would finish with 90 some odd points, and they would be 1 point up on Minnesota. St. Louis, I think with a win and regulation overtime would be fine, would make it. Calgary loses, I think, at all, then if Calgary loses tonight, because they're playing today, Minnesota is safe because they have 3 points up on Calgary. Calgary couldn't catch them. Minnesota would clinch their spot. Now Minnesota could catch St. Louis. If St. Louis were to win, Calgary to win game 82 in regulation, then it's done. So those are the clinching scenarios. Again, as of right now, this is our bracket. It looks pretty set, but it could change just depending what happens with Calgary and Columbus. But for the most part, I don't really see it changing. But you never know. This sport is crazy. But this is our bracket as of right now. It'll probably look a bit different as of Saturday when game one starts for all these matchups because the seedings could change. The only ones as of right now, again, that are set, Colorado, Dallas, LA, Edmonton, and New Jersey, Carolina are the confirmed matchups right now.
Yeah, and when you look at the brackets and you look at the teams that you think would come out and go on to the next round, because like we just can take it round by round. You see, I don't believe in Washington making it to the Stanley Cup final, but I think they'll win the first round matchup. But again, it's hard to say because
I think if they played Montreal, I think they could get upset.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. I truly think that. I know Washington's a deep team. They are, but if they can keep Ovi out of the equation, I think that's what that proved to be it last year. Mm-hmm. They kept Ovechkin out of the way, and that was it. Like, he was not effective in that series, and the Caps were done. I also feel the same way about Winnipeg. Frankly, both one seeds, I see them both they could be early exits. With the way the Blues have been playing,
and that's a good young team that you have to chase around.
Well, and even if Calgary somehow got in there. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I could see there being a lot of upsets. I could see Ottawa beating Toronto. I've seen somebody, I don't know where I saw on, it was Biz talking about Biz Nasty, talking about the Leafs and that, to have the Battle of Florida play each other in the first round and beat each other up because then Toronto could just beat Ottawa and play the beaten up team out of Florida or Toronto or Tampa Bay. Well, hold on now. Ottawa's a good team, and they're a hard team to play against, and they've got a good goaltender in Ullmark, who I think is better than any of the goalies the Leafs have. Truthfully, even if the Leafs advance past round one, playing one of the beaten up Florida teams, those are still good hockey teams. They really are. I mean, it's not an easy cakewalk, but I could see basically all these being upsets. in my mind, looking at this board, I already know which series is my least favorite, and that's going to be the New Jersey Carolina series.
Yeah.
I just don't see much of anything going on in this one. I think it's going to be kind of boring, but even the Vegas Minnesota is going to be interesting. Now, this one's going to be spicy. Dallas and Colorado because of the Rantanen stuff.
Yeah.
He gets traded. Then he ends up in Dallas after being in Carolina for a bit. In return, the Avs get Natchez, who's looked really good there. Goaltending is good for both teams. I think it's going to be a great series. I think in my mind, that's going to be the best series of round one is Dallas, Colorado. That's going to be must-see TV for 6-7 games.
And, when you look at Dallas, they've really they're limping into the playoffs.
Yes, I am very
well
concerned about that with Dallas. They're defensively look really depleted and not sure if Haskin is going to be back for this series. That's going to be the difference is can they clean it up defensively? Because we know the Avs can. They have, Makar, Taves, all these guys on their defensive line that are just really good. And Dallas really doesn't have much. They have Lindell, but, they picked up CC and Lyubushkin and Dumba, like these guys that just aren't that great defensively.
No.
That's going to be the difference. Although this series, I think, is going to have a ton of goals. I really do. I think it's going to be a high-scoring, high-octane series. The only thing Dallas can really cling on is they're going to have home ice most likely in that series, but I don't see that being much of a factor.
No, because they haven't been playing well at home lately. Yeah. So I agree. I think that Colorado, I think, will come out of that. I really do. I just think Colorado started out the season really bad, really slow, but they kind of pulled themselves into a position where they're the Colorado Avalanche again. And so if Dallas does what they did against, was it Vegas last year where they lost the 2 first games at home, then they're not, Colorado's going to run away with it. I'm interested to see Minnesota play.
Yeah.
If they hang on to their seat, I'm interested in seeing that Minnesota series. If it's Minnesota and it would be Vegas, right? I could see an upset there. And because I don't like Vegas, for one, but two, I think Minnesota is not the Minnesota Wild of the past where they looked good, get into the first round of the playoffs and totally fall apart.
It's been forever since the Wild have even made it past round one.
Yeah. So that, to me, is going to be, if that series holds on the way it is, it's either Minnesota should get either Vegas or Winnipeg, more than likely Vegas. Seeing St. Louis, this is going to sound really weird coming from me, but I would like to see Calgary get in. For the simple fact is that would, and if Montreal gets in, that would make 6 of the 7 Canadian teams making.
Who would be the one out?
Vancouver, and that hasn't happened
in a long time
ever. I think since these 7 teams have been that, just doesn't happen. No. You get 2 or 3, maybe 4. But if Calgary gets in and Montreal hangs on, there'll be 6 of the 7 Canadian teams. Calgary could do a little bit of, I don't know if they could do as much damage as St. Louis or Minnesota, but
I don't know. I really think they could do more damage, really. I mean, I think I look at Calgary, they have a good team and a good goalie, a good young goalie who's been on fire, feeling it.
Yeah. And when it comes down to the playoffs, it's your goaltending. If your goaltending is hot, it doesn't matter who it is. When in the 80s, and I go back because this is my experience with watching the Oilers, and it was Andy Moog and Grant Fuhr, the goaltenders, and it was like at the end of the season, who had the hotter hand? One year it was Andy Moog, so he got the start. The next year it's Grant Fuhr, and if either one of those guys don't perform, then you put the other guy in.
Now, when you look at the board right now, because we still have 20 minutes, 20 minutes. When you look, I know it's a bit harder for us to see it from here, but the bracket, the way it's set up, I'll start here and kind of give my prediction for the first round.
Okay.
For who's going to get in and out.
As of right now.
As of today. I think you had possibly had it on here.
Yeah, I did. I think
it's matched up as, yeah, it's right. Okay. So here, you can use that. All right. So when I look at this board, I'm going to give who I think is going to make it from each round. And then we'll move, I guess, to you and see what you think. Looking at it as of right now, I see Montreal beating Washington. And not just because the Penguins are rival of the Capitals, but just I feel the energy from that crowd when I watch the game. And I think that's their biggest edge, the Bell Center crowd, how loud it gets. They've just been on fire. They've been playing so good. And I think this is their time to make a little bit of a splash. So I do see Montreal winning round one against Washington. And then I see Carolina running over New Jersey round one. The Devils have been playing not very good, honestly, the last month or two, just kind of hanging on by their thread. They don't have Jack Hughes now anymore. That's their biggest game breaker, and he's not going to be there. I think that the Devils could win a game, but at most one. I think the Canes will beat them. Then next, Toronto, Ottawa. I have Ottawa winning that one. I think Ottawa is just playing super hot. I mean, they're hot. They're playing hot. They're playing good. They're going to be stingy defensively. Brady Tkachuk's going to be all over those guys. And I just think that they're grittier than the Leafs. And I think they're going to take it. Battle of Florida. I have Tampa beating the Panthers. I think their quest to repeat is going to be over. Just Tampa Bay is one of those teams who's stuck around for so long, been so good. And I think this year they've got even better. Mm-hmm. They got Jake Gensel, Vasilevsky. When he's Vasilevsky, he's golden. He's the best in the league. That's going to be a really good series. I think that could be a 6 or 7 game series. Now for the West, Winnipeg, St. Louis is going to be very tough. I like both of those teams, but I think just by logic, have to give the edge to Winnipeg just because of Hellebuck and how he's done this season. Has been on fire this year. If he can continue that performance, I think that the Jets are just going to be able to stonewall the Blues, really, because they don't have that much. They have a few guys that can score like Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou, but if they shut him down, then they really can't score that much, or they won't score that much. Dallas, Colorado, I agree with you. I think Colorado takes that one. Just defensively, Dallas has been so bad. Just they can't keep the puck out of their net, and I think that's going to be a problem no matter if you've got Otter standing on his head. He's got to have help, and he doesn't have it right now. Vegas, Minnesota. This one, another upset. I think the Wild take this. I think it's just a good story if the Wild make it. You know, Marc-Andre Fleury starting and being Marc-Andre Fleury, the legend that he is, keeping the Wild and floating them up to the next round. Right. Dethroning the most hated team in the NHL. I mean, I don't know. I just see it happening. It would be great for that fan base, but it's going to be another good series right there. LA, Edmonton. This is going to be a tough round for both of those teams. But when I look at this, my heart and my head tell me two different things. I have to go with my logic and head, and I think that LA takes it. And this is why. I want Edmonton to win because I want you to be happy with the Oilers winning the Cup. But I think Bouchard has been awful this season. Yeah. And if Ekholm's not there to help him out for a series, and depending what you get out of the goaltending, I would look at, if you compare, the starters, the main starters, Stu and Darcy Kemper, I think Darcy Kemper's been better. Stuart Skinner's been off his game. Now we know he can come back on it, but he hasn't been very good this year. However, again, the power play and penalty kill, or power play for Edmonton, penalty kill for LA is going to be the biggest difference because we see what the Oilers power play did last year. Yeah. Again, I really want the Oilers to win because of family. Obviously, I want you to be happy watching them win. But like I said a few minutes ago, this is the Kings' best shot is this year. If it doesn't work this year, I think that's kind of going to blow it up a little bit. Yeah. So that's just what I think. But I'm hoping that I'm wrong in that case because I would like the Oilers to play and beat either Minnesota or Vegas. But that's just how I see it right now.
Well, I'm going to start in the East too. And I'm going to start with that Toronto-Ottawa series, the Battle of Ontario. Ottawa. I honestly can't remember the last time that Toronto and Ottawa played in playoffs.
I know.
So that's just going to be interesting as a whole, being a provincial rival. But I'm with you. I think Toronto is that great regular season team and just can't muster it up in the playoffs because they don't have the proper leadership. Austin Matthews. They don't have the proper leadership to get through. Like if Ottawa wins one of the first 2 games in Toronto, then Toronto is like back on their heels. They don't play well when they're back on their heels.
And I heard somebody had said a while back that Brady Tkachuk is the worst captain in the NHL. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's a obviously he's doing something right
Yeah.
because that team's kicking and going.
Ottawa is like on such a high, and they're playing really good hockey right now. So I would go with Ottawa over Toronto. Then you go down to the Battle of Florida, another state rivalry. And I got to go with you again. As much as the Panthers are, the two-time defending Eastern Conference champions and defending Stanley Cup champions, I don't think they can get by Tampa. Tampa is just being Tampa again, like they were about 3-4 years ago.
Seems they made the right move getting Stamkos.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as it sucked to see that, but
yeah. So I think the Lightning will prevail in the Battle of Florida, and then you get Washington, Montreal, and I'm going to do a heart head thing too, like you did. My heart says Montreal because
that was your team.
That was my team before the Oilers got in the NHL. Like my family back up in northern Alberta were Montreal Canadiens, except for my mom, who was a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. And Montreal is one of those teams that have been lousy the last couple of years. They've got some great players, young guys that can. My heart says Montreal, but unless they do something with Ovi, I think Washington in my head will take this series. Of course, being a Canadian, I want to see all the Canadian teams
do something,
do well in the playoffs. And then the one that I don't really care much about either is Carolina, New Jersey. And you're right, New Jersey has just barely been there. Carolina, that should be.
I think
could be probably.
We're going to see a few, probably 5 or 6. Our buddy Frank freakouts during the playoffs when the Devils.
I just think that series.
They've literally been hanging on. I think the last month and a half, where they've just been trying to stay afloat.
That could be the only sweep of the first round, and it'd be Carolina.
Yeah, I could actually see that.
Western Conference, Las Vegas and Minnesota. Again, this is as it stands right now. This could change. Las Vegas, Minnesota. I think the Wild winning would be a great story for Marc-Andre Fleury, his last season. I just think if the Wild can handle the Vegas in Vegas and get like that one of the first 2 games. So I'm going with Minnesota, and then because upsets are always fun to have.
Oh, they are.
Then you go to Winnipeg, St. Louis, as it is right now, and I'm going to have to just say Winnipeg. You can't if Hellebuck is the Hellebuck of the first round last year against Colorado.
That's bad.
Then that's going to be bad. But if the Hellebuck is the 40, how many wins? 42 wins.
Whatever he's got 1,000 of them this season.
And Winnipeg's Winnipeg don't need 5 goals a game to win.
No, they've won a lot of games scoring 2 or 3.
Yeah, so I'm going, and as much as again St. Louis, a young team,
great story,
came up and they've been in the hunt all year. I just think Winnipeg is going to take that one. And Dallas, Colorado, I said it earlier. I just think Dallas is playing badly at the wrong time of the year, and Colorado is playing the best they played all year at the right time of the year.
Yeah.
And that could go 6.
That'll be a long series.
It'll be Colorado over Dallas, and I like Dallas.
They be too.
But they
just defensively just got worse.
They and Otter and DeSmith don't have the backing of their defense. Like they can't do it all themselves.
No.
Otter's going to play it.
Yeah, but he can only do so much.
Even
all these teams that have great goalies still have great defense. Like Winnipeg has great defense.
Mm-hmm.
Morrissey.
Yeah,
the guys that they're studs, and Dallas they have a couple, but not enough to outweigh the 4 bad ones they have.
No, and then the series, of course, that I'm the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Unlike Carson, my head and my heart go with the Edmonton Oilers. I just look at the Oilers have played the last 3 weeks, let's say, of the season without
the other big guys.
Like just take the 2 big guys, McDavid and Draisaitl, and you take them out of the picture for it's got to be close to 10 games,
probably a month, honestly. Yeah. With
and the Oilers still managed to win more than they lost.
Yes,
and now you get those guys back in the lineup.
Yep,
you get more consistency on the power play.
Yeah,
and even the penalty killing. But the big thing
I think is going to be
is the defense. More Bouchard not having Ekholm available in the first round. Now this could just be a ploy by the Oilers saying he's not available for the first round. And
I don't know. I feel like that they wouldn't joke about that.
But if they put Bouchard, and I think they've been putting him with Nurse, and Nursey has been a lot better defensively, but Bush has to be more focused in his own zone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he should worry about his offensive game.
No,
we
know he has that ability, but I definitely agree. And I hate saying the LA beat just because I want the Oilers to win. But that's just a difference maker. I think is just not single anybody because I don't like singling people out, but he's just not been good. That's the problem. He's not been good, and they're going to be their number one defense.
When you look at him play all season, he's just lackadaisical, lazy, going back with the puck. It passes out of the zone.
Yeah,
just lazy, not paying attention.
Now in this series, I think that my game breaker is going to be outside of McDavid or Draisaitl. I think the game breaker in this series is going to be Perry.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, Perry's got like 18 goals this year, and he's a guy that knows how to win. He's been there before. He's played 20 years.
He's played in a lot of.
He's played in a lot of playoff games. He's the kind of guy that can get in front of the net and cause problem. He's got great hands around the net. Yeah, he could be a factor.
Truthfully, I look at all these series. Other than I don't even want to say, New Jersey and Carolina could be. I don't know, but I just look at it. I don't think it's going to be very entertaining. But all these series are going to be action packed. I mean, tons of in province or state rivalries being reignited. You've got the LA Edmonton 4 times in a row that this matchup's going to happen. It's going to be intense. These are going to be very intense series. I think basically all of these, except the Carolina New Jersey series, are going to be long. I do. Mm-hmm. I think they're all going to be long. I don't think there's going to be many short series, just because there's a lot of teams in here that nobody thought would be. And I mean, it's as much as I want to see my team in there, it's cool to see new blood in there and getting some chance. I mean, Ottawa hasn't been in the playoffs since they made the Eastern Final in 2017. Montreal hasn't been back since they made it the Cup Final in 2021. Both of those franchises and those fan bases deserve to see their teams in the playoffs, and I'm really excited for this weekend. Now, I'm assuming these are going to be good games. The schedules will come out probably on Friday for when they're going to be played. But yeah, it's going to be great. And like we said here, because we'll probably begin wrapping up since it's about 6:45, we're going to do nightly recaps starting on Saturday. So we're going to be a busy channel. We'll probably do those maybe like 10:30 p.m.
Yeah,
just because it'll be a later night for those, but we'll be doing these every night. There's probably occasions where we'll be watching together, where I'll go over and hang out with you and we'll watch the games. For the most part, we'll do it on StreamYard like this over Facebook. So he'll be in his bubble, I'll be in my bubble. We'll update the bracket. I'll update it daily to make sure I'm up to date with the series, how they are looking, and as far as the seating, how it's going to change. So this bracket could look different as of Friday when I update it, just because the seating could be different. But we'll do every night after the games, recap these. Dad will also be doing his post-game TikToks for the Oilers. I might do some little things as far as like the daily recaps as well on my TikTok, just for the teams that are playing. We'll be a busy channel the next 2 months, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I mean, this is the best time of the year for sports.
And you can, I looked at, you look at the NBA playoffs are going to be about the same time. And what do you want to watch more if you're just a casual fan of sports? Do you want to watch the NBA playoffs, or it's already pretty much predicted who's going to win? Or you want to watch the NHL playoffs where you just don't know? And I saw something, Stephen A. Smith and PK Subban
last week.
Good
after Ovechkin got his record.
So PK said Ovi getting the goal scoring record was the equivalent of LeBron James getting the scoring record in the NBA. And what's his name?
Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith just said, "There's no way, that even comes close." And it's like, and PK was looking at him like, "Are you kidding?" Like,
these guys have to endure a lot more than last that long.
It's so funny because you see LeBron James, who calls himself the greatest of all time, and all these memes and stuff that have come out on the internet lately of him flopping. That's not Ovi doesn't flop.
Well, even when he broke the record, the scoring record when LeBron did, he went by himself and celebrated. Where when Ovi did it, he like a little kid, he dove on the ice like a little kid and got mobbed by his team.
Yeah.
And that's a record that probably won't ever be touched. Honestly, I mean, he's lasted 20 seasons being battered up, bruised. People often forget that this season he broke his leg and should have probably not really played, and he broke the record. And he's just leading that team to a championship. But you know what? I don't like sometimes the sports analysts like Stephen A. Like, I respect what they do. They're smart. They know what they're doing. But guys like that have no interest to learn anything else besides what they're doing. He doesn't have any interest to learn about hockey. So he just thinks that it's like nothing. But he doesn't try to learn. So it's like, then you don't understand it if you're not going to try.
No, and if you never watched a game of hockey in your life, check out the playoffs.
No, because he's been infamously said that all he knows about hockey is that the puck is black. Yeah. Other than that, he doesn't know anything else about the sport, but that's his choice to not choose to watch.
So, but the playoffs are going to start
Saturday night. Well, Saturday afternoon, probably. There's probably going to be games from 12 to 12.
12 to 12. They're probably
Who's ready?
I'm ready. We're ready. The Best Boys Center Ice podcast is ready to cover the Stanley Cup playoffs again. It's going to be such an exciting 2 months. You can't believe it.
It's like Christmas, but it's like every day for 2
months. And we'll be there all along the way, and you can catch us on Facebook Live pretty much every night.
We'll be here.
We'll be here.
We'll be best friends by the end of this playoffs.
And, then our videos will be uploaded onto our YouTube channel, which will be available on the Refocus Radio Network. It's a
great time.
It's a great time of the year. We'll have the brackets up. We'll update you every night on the games that were played. We did this last year for the first time, and the playoffs are just incredible.
Unbelievable.
And
it's fun getting to cover it like this.
Yeah,
it truly is. Even if, for me, I'll say firsthand, for the Penguins not being in, I have so much fun during the playoffs when we get to cover the games, because every night we're getting to talk about them. Yeah. And it makes me just even more arty than I do want to watch them.
Yeah.
Like, I already do as of now, just love to watch them, but it gives me even more reason to want to watch the games.
So you take every matchup and it's going to be, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be intense. There's nothing like playoff hockey. Nope. And the next couple of days, we'll get everything kind of straight as to who's going to be where. But we're going to wrap things up for tonight.
As always,
in the meantime and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night, and let's get ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs.